Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Asset Coach and Tax Strategist. And so glad you're here. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. Feel free to share us and not keep us a secret. We're very close to 100 subscribers. I know it's not 100,000, not 100 million, 100 subscribers. Again, we're not looking to monetize this. We're not driving this to make us money. This is just something I've shared with you guys before. I enjoy doing this, but I also want to make sure that there's somebody out there kind of going through the media and the articles that are out there and kind of reading between the lines. And there's a lot of great YouTubers out there and a lot that I've watched and I enjoy getting information from and learning myself and building up my knowledge base and everything. And so, but as a business owner, as a physician, a lot of times it's just difficult to spend so much time with so many people and this and that. So really, I do this for people who know me, people who know our members who are engaged with us. And so again, thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. We drop episodes every Thursday. I also have another podcast with my business partner, Joe Arioto. That is Wealth Mavericks. And that Wealth Mavericks, we're talking about, different assets and different wealth things and misconceptions, and we're just talking more about wealth, and we're really focusing and driving to help physicians and the medical field, just because I think post-COVID, it's just that industry before was already undervalued, and now it's even more so with big pharma and all this kind of stuff. Lot of physicians are just dissatisfied, and that's bad for you and I. Because if that's bad for you and I, that means we don't have people to care for us. Then we get sicker. But we won't go into the politics of big pharma and medicine and all that fun stuff just on this episode. This episode is say, duh, I told you so. And what that means is that I'm not patting myself on the back too hard, but Fed Chairman Powell is now saying that basically the way they've been addressing inflation today is not working, which is what I said 2 years ago. March of 2022, you can go back and look at previous episodes of me talking about inflation and talking about this and saying, you cannot address inflation today like you did in previous years. Here's why. After 2008, the financial crisis, our government created something they called a quantitative easing. Now, they may have been doing this before in previous years and previous decades and previous issues, but they were never public with this quantitative easing conversation. And so what this did was they created also this too big to fail structure that if you had a financial business that reached a certain required formula, that it's too big now, that if it failed, it would have a negative ripple effect in not just the American economy, but the world economy. And my comment to that is, who cares? Who cares? Fix the problem, don't mask it. Okay? You'll hear people, especially people who understand nature and forests and farming, that the burning of fields is actually good for the environment. It's good for the fields. It allows growth. It basically turns what the vegetation there is into additional food into the ground, into the soil, to allow growth to come back better, stronger, healthier. Okay. Pruning back rose bushes to where there are a bunch of twigs. What happens the next season? They come out to these beautiful roses. The same is with most vegetation. Now, why am I equating our economy and the finances to vegetation? Because nature teaches us, and we are so arrogant, we don't want to listen. We're so greedy, we don't want to listen. We're so egotistical, we don't want to listen. We're so hungry for power, we don't want to listen. And so we create these things that eventually are detrimental. And here we are from 2008 to 2024 with ripple effects. Now, decisions before 2008, I'm sure, are also affecting us, okay? But I'm going based off 2008 quantitative easing, not allowing, and then the main thing too is that interest rates were what? Historic lows. Historic lows. So when interest rates are low, that means the cost of accessing capital, money, is cheaper. So it allows banks to lend more money to people at a lower cost for us to borrow it to accelerate growth. It's a great strategy. Okay. It's a great way to get funds into the economy, to grow economy, builds tax revenue for the government, which is why they do it. Which is a lot of times when you see lower interest rates and money going to the economy, you typically see it with lower taxation. Okay. Because what they're trying to do is light a fire into the economy. It's great. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. But then all of a sudden, we had in 2020 a global pandemic. Now, we're not going to talk about the politics of that, okay? What I'm trying to stay clear of and stay focused on is the Federal Reserve and Powell and their actions to try to adjust current inflation based on using old strategies, okay? So during COVID, 2020 to 2022, they dumped $10 trillion into the economy, whether it was cash, whether it was tax savings, no matter what it was, you had an infusion of $10 trillion. You also had a period of time because of the pandemic and shutdowns, you had non-productive economies. You didn't have products and goods and services being produced. You didn't have people earning, making, building, and providing. And so that leads to supply chain issues, which is what we had. So now you have a supply and demand issue, which also is a function of driving inflation. Okay. And so now all of a sudden we're looking here and we're like, oh, inflation's double digits. That may not be an accurate voice depiction, but they acted surprised, at least towards us. They may not have been surprised. This may have been the whole game plan. Don't know. Okay. Don't know. I'm not in their world. But the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell has been addressing inflation by doing what? Raising interest rates, cutting money supply, stopping quantitative easing, right? These behind the scene functions. And so when you drive interest rates, you can't bump it up 1-2% right away because that creates a shock to the economy. So you do this slow roll up of 25 basis points, 0.25% quarter point changes in interest rates. So I lead all of this to this current situation where we have, according to Forbes magazine, Jerome Powell's Fed is beginning to think its interest rate hikes may be having smaller effects than in the past. No duh. No duh. Now, to his credit, he does not want to raise more interest rates because if you look at Googling that, so if you just take that title, you cut and paste it here in Google, and it comes up with different things. So, for example, Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan, says he's concerned that the Fed may raise rates even higher than the current 2-decade peak instead of lowering them. Well, of course he's worried about that because he's a banker. Jerome Powell's Fed is beginning to think its interest rates may be having smaller effects than in the past. The economists have noted that many Americans, homeowners, are feeling what? The effects of this, right? They're feeling the effects of this. This is a negative. So you could look at that. You can look at, let's see here, Powell sees longer inflation fight, very small odds of the Fed rate hike. We have the highest interest rate in some time. Well, yeah, because from 2008 to now, to when you started raising rates, we were at historic lows. But the difference was the amount of time and money infused into the economy. And that was where the issue is. And so you can look at USA Today. Again, this was May 14th, and this shows a video of Powell speaking. Okay. And he said interest rates may take longer than expected to lower inflation. So there's also some reasons why they're okay with inflation that we're not going to get into today. Only because I'd like to do a little bit more research for you and provide a little more evidence for you, rather than, again, just me blabbing and giving my opinion, which I am so good at. And I appreciate you being here listening to my opinion. But if we read this article, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, said Tuesday that it may take longer than expected for higher interest rates to lower inflation, and gave no hint the recent slowing labor market could mean earlier rate cuts. Now, here's the issue, right? Because of higher rates, because of higher rate increases, what's it doing to the economy? It's actually starting to slow it down. And that's a function of it. That's how you reduce inflation. But what happened is that they put $10 trillion into the economy. So you have companies like tech companies that have billions in cash, that never had an ounce of debt, like Apple, for example. They never had bonds. They had no company debt. Interest rates drop in 2008. What did they start doing? Very simple. They started getting debt. What did a lot of these companies start doing? They started buyback programs. What's that mean? Well, they would borrow through bonds at a low interest rate. They'd have billions of dollars, and they would take those billions of dollars and buy their stock back and buy their shares back over a period of time. What that does is that it reduces the amount of outstanding shares. It increases to the normal investor thinks, oh, look, their financial performance was good, but look at the stock, it's rising. Oh, look, their financial performance went down. Some of the stocks go down, but what happens right away? They buy back. Okay, and that's a supply and demand. Stock ownership is supply and demand. So you run this across these multi-billion-dollar corporations that have buyback programs, access to cash. And then you have you and I, business owners, that also have access to capital. We can dump that money into our business and start growing our business, maybe hire staff that we really wouldn't normally, but we can because we have access to cheaper capital to try to strive and grow your business. But now all of a sudden, with interest rates going up, inflation going up, it's becoming more expensive to do that. So then what's happening with a lot of these companies? Now they're starting to lay companies off. What are some companies are starting to file bankruptcy, right? Again, this is all stuff that should have happened in 2008. Okay. But here we are today. And raising the interest rates a quarter point is not going to affect inflation. I personally think, my opinion, inflation is going to stay between 6 and 10%. That's my personal opinion. I believe interest rates are going to stay between that period, that dollar amount as well. My personal opinion. Until there is a change in government, until there is a change in how they run and spend, it's going to happen. Until they start investing in America and not sending our tax dollars out America, then we're not going to see any change. Now, they may say they're looking for change. They may say what they're saying. I don't know. Some of the things they're saying, it's not economics. It's just, they're really words to make you feel good. So you get panicky. They don't want you running on banks. Why? Because there's no cash sitting in banks. Banks don't have the money. If you go to a bank and say, hey, I'd like to withdraw $10,000. And they're gonna say, oh, I can't do that right now. Can you come back when we order the funds? Banks order it. They don't carry cash inventory. It's just like other businesses. Other businesses don't carry a lot of inventory anymore. Banks are no different. So I'm gonna leave these articles down below. I'm gonna also leave that Google search down below, because I want you to be able to look at this stuff on your own. I want you to be able to do your own reading and research of what's being said out there. Not because I don't want you listening to me and take my word for it. I do want you to listen to me. I do want you to subscribe. I do want you to share me. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I want you to educate yourself as well. That's really kind of the driving force of what this YouTube channel is about, is giving you enough information to think on your own and to make decisions on your own, do a little bit more research. And, oh, by the way, this Bob guy is telling me this. Maybe I should look into it. I've been talking about this for 2 years now. Again, it's not because I'm smart. It's because it's common sense. It's the basics of basic economics. We learn this economics in your first year of college. So I don't know, maybe people don't take economics anymore in college. I don't know. Depends on your degree, I guess now. I don't know. Why would they want you to teach you this unless you're going into business? But I could probably even see in business degrees they getting rid of some of economic classes. Why? They want to keep us dumb. They just want to keep us dumb, and we're easier to control when we don't know. So, but anyways, hopefully this was helpful. If so, give me a thumbs up, add some comments, feel free to share us. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and can't wait to see you guys again next time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.